All right, Katie, thanks for showing up today and sharing your story. I've been hearing great things about you from the Rent Scale team. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Good. And where you calling in from today?
I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee.
And is that your market where you manage?
It is. We're in East Tennessee, so from Nashville all the way east to the Tri-Cities.
Okay. Great. And for somebody just kind of tuning in, give me the overview. What's your ideal client and what's your door count?
Um, that's a great question. Our ideal client is small multifamily, so we really thrive like 4 to 50 or so units, and our market. You said what's the market? Sorry, I already forgot the second question.
Oh, just kind of size of the company, maybe how
Oh
long
yeah,
you've been
yeah.
in business, how
So
many doors?
we manage about 900 doors. Most of those are concentrated in the greater Knoxville area. So we're in Knoxville, Knox County, and then every county that touches Knox County, and then out from there. We have 13, I think 13 full-time employees, a couple remote team members, and two part-time employees.
Okay. I know it's a family business.
Mhm.
You and your husband Clay, who I know couldn't make it, are you guys are equal partners? Like how
Yep.
does the role break down for who does what?
We are equal owners and equal partners. Well, for several years, he stayed in his career full time. So in the beginning, it was all me and our team. And over the really probably the last 12 months, he's been able to step more and more out of his career and into our businesses. So we're probably his main gifting, talent, and responsibility is growth and strategy and just helping make sure that all of our companies are on the right path. And I'd say he probably spends about 30% of his time doing that.
Okay, great. And so you're spending about 100% of or you shouldn't say 100%. What do you think you're spending on the business?
Like 150%.
Okay, well you're
This is
spending
all I do.
yeah, and you're spending it's called Freedom Financial Advisors, so I have that right?
No, it's Freedom Investment Group.
Freedom Investment Group. Sorry
Mhm.
about that.
That's okay.
So Freedom Investment Group, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, getting all the paperwork out of the way, as they say. You have other interests, both of you guys, right? So just kind of give me like the proverbial pie chart of what your business interests look like and how you spend your time on them.
Sure. So it all started from real estate investing. At heart, I'm an investor and an entrepreneur. The property management side of things sort of just evolved out of necessity to manage our portfolio. So we own, on average, we buy and sell, but on average, about 300 doors. Personally, most mix of single family and small multifamily. And so over the years, we set up the foundation for a management company to manage our own portfolio and then had lots of inquiries from investors and friends, word of mouth to manage for them. And so in 2020, we expanded to fee-based management, and then got our general contracting license. So we have a small construction company that does rehab and renovation. And we've always done maintenance. We've always had on-staff maintenance and kind of done that in-house. But in 2024, we launched a brand for that and created My Maintenance Men. So now we do maintenance for other investors that maybe don't want management, and then also homeowners across the region. And then probably the thing that um, really kind of exudes the heart of who we are is our nonprofit. So in 2020, we founded a nonprofit that we exist as a nonprofit to help create access to housing. I think we're unique in that the nonprofit actually owns about 130 units that are subsidized or just affordable units. And so we're able to partner with a lot of local organizations to make those available for our most vulnerable populations.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. All right, so I'm going to come back to that because that's going to take us down a whole rabbit hole. I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, busy woman. As I know, mom, wife, and real estate investor, running a great property management company at 900 plus stores, investing, like you said, and then the maintenance company, and then the GC company. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. You had to, like I said, draw a proverbial pie chart.
Mhm.
Where do you spend most of your time? Doesn't mean where the money comes from or anything like that, but just
Yeah.
where's like a, Monday through Friday, or I should probably say a Saturday through Sunday day look like for you?
Mhm. Um, I'd say so if we go to the pie chart, so our parent company is Freedom Investment Group, and then we have so FIG, so we have FIG Property Management, FIG General Contracting. Our nonprofit is FIG Solutions, and then my maintenance men. And so I would say probably I'd probably say at least 50% of my time is a management company. That's definitely our largest business. And then the other three, our team kind of all intersect with the construction company and the maintenance company. So there's a lot of overlap there, but I'd say you could probably split, mm, probably even the other 50% is evenly split amongst those three.
Okay, great. And like I said, I've had the fortune of meeting your wonderful husband, meeting your wonderful kids. They seem like good people. Why are you so busy doing everything else? What's driving all of these side projects and endeavors that you're diving into?
Yeah, well, we actually have six kids. You've only met a few of
I've
them,
only
I
met two. That's right.
hmm Um, we really wanted a legacy for our family that has grown into much more from a just a community impact standpoint and being really values driven. But I don't know, I like to be busy. So our kids are all older. We have two still at home, three, but he's almost a senior, so he's like not really at home ever.
Yeah.
So, our oldest daughter worked for us in the beginning. Madeline, she launched Process Architect and is thriving there. Our son Elijah has been in business development with us and was promoted to senior resident specialist. And then our daughter Julia worked with us. And so um, it's been really cool to have a place for them to discover what they love and then launch from here or stay here, whatever they want to do. So they actually now it's just me and Clay, and then Elijah is the only person left that's a blood relative with us. Everybody else has used me as a launching pad, which is fine.
That's what we as kids do. We need that
Yeah.
leg up with our parents. So no,
Yeah.
I had no idea you had six kids. Okay. And so I've met Madeline, I've met Elijah. I don't want to make it all family, but how young is your youngest today, or is Elijah your
9.
youngest? Oh, you still
Nope,
okay.
nope.
You still
We
have
have
small kids at home.
Elijah's 17. We have Gabriel who's 16.
Yeah.
Uh Julie is 19. She's back up in the mix there. And then Bella's 11 and Jeremiah's 9.
Okay, so yeah, you're still actively running a household. That was really the question I wanted to
Yeah.
ask. On top of all these businesses and the nonprofit, which is great. So building a legacy is great. What was that conversation like in the beginning, and what is it like now? When you guys say, "Hey, we're building a legacy," what do you mean by that?
That's a really good question. Um, I think we have well, I'll tell you what. So when we started that conversation, it was really more about like financial success and future for our family, for our kids, not just going down kind of the traditional path of having a job and working till you retire. I look back on my life and I mean, I definitely have an entrepreneur spirit. I can look all the way back to elementary school, now that I know more about myself, and I'm like, oh wow, I've been doing this my whole life. So I think that's sort of how it began. But once we made the decision that real estate was going to be our thing. We were very successful investing in the beginning and continue to be. But in our interactions and the people that we serve realize that it's a lot bigger than that. And so now I think our legacy is not just about our family, but it's about the community that we serve and making sure that we make an impact everywhere we are.
Yeah, it's great. Well, success breeds success, so I totally get that. A lot of us have what we think is a bold vision when we embark on those, you know. entrepreneurial vision or anything, nonprofit vision. And then as you get further into it, success, like I said, breeds success, which is really cool. So yeah, I love that. Started just kind of, we want to create a legacy within our family. We don't want to go the traditional route. But then as you've leaned into that, it sounds like the path of what is possible kept getting bigger and bigger. And now you're like, hey, we're really good at this real estate stuff. We're investing. We know how we're helping people. We're watching our kids kind of flourish as we do this, and then the whole thing snowballs. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yeah, definitely. I just say yes. I'm really like you. The maddest you can probably make me is to tell me I can't do something or to tell me no. And
Yeah,
so we get an idea and I love to make it happen.
I love it. I should have let Jen run this interview because you guys are cut from the same
We
cloth.
have a lot in common, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you would recognize that.
Uh,
That's amazing. Okay, so love that. So got the investments that you guys have. You've got the property management now. Now, I mean, now you're firing on all cylinders, 900 doors. Let's go back to the beginning. So I know Clay couldn't make it, but he's a big part of this. How did you start in real estate? Did your family have real estate investments? Did you guys, open like a direct mail piece and decide to do like no down payment real estate? Like what, how did
yeah.
you find yourself in this industry?
Yeah. So well, I mean, this isn't going to be like not shocking to anybody who listens to this, but we'd read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad several times. Um,
Good.
and
Yeah.
so Clay pulled it back off the shelf in 2017, reread it, and we kind of just said, okay, let's do this. So we have a really close friend who is a business partner on the investment side of things, very successful entrepreneur with regional and national brands. And so he came alongside and said, I want to make this happen for you. And so we were able to, I mean, we were investing, 2018, 2019, we were buying stuff for $30,000 for a two-bedroom house, can't do that anymore. So
That's a small renovation these days.
right, right, yeah. So we were able to do that with cash, just over and over and over again. We would fill a bucket basically, and then get that stabilized, refinance it, pull our cash back out, and just do it again. And we did that about 8 times.
Amazing. And only starting in the late 20 teens? You're saying you just really started that like less than 10 years ago.
We bought our first property. Actually, our first property, Clay and I did it by ourselves before we started with our partner, and it was a single wide mobile home. So that was our very first one. But yeah, 2018 was the first multifamily that we bought.
Wow. I mean, I do realize that's 6 years ago or seven, but 2018 just sounds like yesterday. So that's amazing. You would think about portfolio size, what you've done. I think a lot of people think you have a lot more runway than that, but you guys have moved fast. Okay.
Mhm.
Just kind of briefly, what did life look like before 2018? What were you doing? What was Clay doing? What was the family like? What was life like before this all started happening?
So Clay was in healthcare consulting. Continues to be a national and international consultant speaker. He does that far less than he used to. So he was actually on the road Monday through Friday, often on a different plane every day. I mean, he's a Delta millionaire, like, million miler. So he was gone a lot. I'm a nurse, historically critical care nurse. I quit working in 2012 when he went on the road. So I stayed home with our kids. We actually homeschooled all of our older kids. And as they got older and needed me less, I kind of got bored. So I started trying to, make things and do things. And then, 2017, 2018, we kind of really found our thing.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Okay. So starting a property management company is not a small thing, as I think anybody watching this would know that. Obviously, I do think it's a great advantage when your first X number of doors are your own portfolio because you're probably both your best and your worst client as you do that. But as you started, like, how did you start going out and talking to other people and saying, "Hey, you should pay us to manage your properties"? Like, how did you What led you into that, and what was that journey like?
Well, we didn't. And actually, we became rent scale clients last year. And prior to that, we had done zero marketing, none. It was all word of mouth. We we were really successful on the investment side. And so part of that is the entrance and the exit strategy. And you have to have a well-managed, stabilized property to have a good exit. And so I think people saw that. And we just, investors that I knew in the community, brokerages that I worked with, started referring people or just calling me saying, "Hey, I've got 50 units. Would you manage them?" And so, like I said, sure, we can do that, And we did. I mean, we had a pretty good structure and foundation for our own portfolio, not anything like what we have now. I mean, it was lots of spreadsheets and reminders and notes and just a mess. But we did it, and I mean, every year has we've learned a ton, and there's so much more support and systems and softwares and things now than there were even just 5 years ago.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're glossing over a lot. I'm sure it was just nothing but rainbows and unicorns
I know
from
it was terrible.
right.
No. I mean, it for a few years anyway, it was just me. And then we hired our first couple employees, and one of them a maintenance technician who's now our senior construction manager. He's been with us for a long time. No, I mean, I think I worked 5,000 days in a row, So it
That
was lots of learning, lots of hard. But I think as we did it, man, like the people that we met, the tenants that we started to meet, and we bought a lot of like Class C properties that were poorly managed and people were treated really poorly and devalued. And so I just really like, man, people should not be devalued through their housing experience. And so what can we do to help fix that? And really started to feel like if we manage the property, we fix it, because I'm really particular about who we manage for. You've got to be aligned with us from a value standpoint and how you treat people and what you expect. So it really became more about just being able to make a difference.
that's great. Um do you think that it was easy for you to like really rest on the values because you were like, hey, I already got my own portfolio, and if I'm gonna do this, like I don't need this to put food on the table, so I'm gonna do it intentionally. Like, was there a part of that that you felt like, hey, like I'm only gonna do this if I do it the right way?
Yes, and I will tell you that in the beginning, there was definitely a pressure and a um, kind of fervor to say yes. Oh, this guy called and he wants us to manage this portfolio and say yes, and in the beginning, I mean, we definitely took whatever and didn't spend a ton of time having expectations conversations and vetting people, and that burned me fast. So I'll never forget, I had a conversation with an investor that we still manage for, and he's a great partner. But there was someone else in the equation that was not aligned with us, just from a communication standpoint and the way he was treating us. And we make it really clear that we're not your vendor, we're a partner in this. And so I let him know that we weren't going to manage anymore. And he said, I don't I didn't know a management company could fire an investor. And I was like, well, I just did. And so we actually had a great, rich conversation and turned that around. And he's a great client and friend. But learned a lot of lessons about what I'm willing to do and not do. And, that percentage of rent isn't worth all that.
Yeah, that's great. So the client you fired came back, got a little cold splash of water in the face, and said, "Okay, didn't know this could happen." Um,
Mhm.
so if you can kind of like give us an example, like what you said, the values, right? What are the values you will take, or I don't know, I want to say it the right way. Using the values, who are the owners you will take, and who are the owners you won't take? What are the red flags? What are the green flags? Maybe that's the easiest way to say it. Give me the
Mhm.
red flags and the green flags.
Oh, that's good. So red flags is someone who isn't interested in learning about us. They just want to tell us what they want. A red flag would be somebody who doesn't consider the fact that someone lives in your property and it is their home. So while it's a bottom line for us as an investor. It's someone's home, and we have to consider that in every decision that we make. Um, a red flag is someone who doesn't want to spend money on maintenance. I think maintenance has to be aligned with the property and the rent, and like it all has to be measured. But we will provide safe, quality housing. And if you aren't willing to do that, then we're not a good fit. So those are probably the top three that immediately I'm kind of like, no, no, this isn't going to work.
That's shockingly simple, but
Mhm.
it's a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
do like, it's one of our company values is simple is always worth it. It actually takes a little extra work to get things down to the basics, but it's always worth it when you do that. So I think it's a great transition. One of the reasons my team wanted me to talk to you was kind of the mission you guys have. And you mentioned before nonprofit and just kind of the values. So what I'm sensing is you're managing your day to day from a sense of vision. So tell us what's important to you, your family, the legacy. Walk us through what that vision is and what you're focused on.
Um, our vision is impact. So we want everybody who encounters us to feel like they matter. And I think, vision wise, we have our mission, vision, values, all of those things. We just had our annual retreat, and we kind of talk about like in 10 years, if there was a news article written about us, what would the headline be? And that's sort of how we think about our vision. And that headline is basically that if we were gone tomorrow, the community would feel it. Like we would be missed because of what we do to try to stabilize housing, and just provide care for our community. So we do a lot of work with organizations in the community that provide rental assistance and case management and some supportive housing and things like that. We have a lot of partnerships there. In 2020, um, we realized that if we had a nonprofit, we would have a lot more access to possible funding and be able to get into spaces that a for-profit can't. And so we just again said like we feel like we could make a even bigger impact if we have a nonprofit. So we did it. Um, and we in 20, I think it was 2022, we were given 6 properties by a large charitable organization that decided we don't want to be in property ownership. We just want to provide the case management. So we took over the properties, and they continue to be in those properties doing case management services for those clients. And then last year, we were able to purchase an 87 unit hotel that had been renovated into studio apartments. And we did a really creative kind of model with it and have it fully occupied with people who wouldn't probably qualify on your standard application for a standard apartment. They maybe don't want an apartment, like they don't need a 2 bedroom apartment. That's not what they're here for, what they're after. And so that's been really rewarding. That one, we moved 50 people in there in like 2.5 weeks. So the need is enormous. And I think we've realized, and I think across the country, people are realizing like we have to figure out different ways to meet housing needs. It can't be what we've always done.
Definitely not. The balance is so out of whack, it's insane. Which, by the way,
Mhm.
both the capitalist in me is like, what an amazing opportunity, but then the American in me is also like, wow, how much does this suck for
Well,
to
and
have?
that's like it has to be both. And I mean, I'm also a capitalist, right? But like it has to be both. And I can't sleep at night if we're only after the profit, and I can't feed my family if we're only after the the impact. So like you have to but it can be both, and I think we've proven that.
It's amazing. Okay, so tell me about the nonprofit. What's it called? What do you do? How do we get involved?
It's called Fig Solutions. And we're really stringent about staying in our lane. So we provide the housing. We don't provide services. We don't provide case management. We provide the brick and mortar. And then we partner with community organizations to provide the services that might be needed. So six of the properties are HUD properties. The units are subsidized, they're project based. And then Second Creek Studios is the motel I was talking about. And we're able to have, like, we have some kids that have aged out of foster. So if you don't know, at least in Tennessee in the foster system, the minute they turn 18, they have to leave the home they're in, which makes them immediately homeless. Most of them have no support. So we've been able, I think we're going to be able to have a master kind of lease and commit about 10 units there for kids aging out that can get case management from our community partner and then hopefully move into a traditional housing experience if that's what they want. They get job help and that kind of thing. So we are just supporting those properties and the revenue from the properties helps support the nonprofit. So thankfully we're not dependent on grant funding. Although, donations and grant funding help offset utility costs and help us provide more support, rental assistance and things like that.
Amazing. I love it you said that. I was a Rotarian here in Boca for a long time and got an amazing community, amazing nonprofit here in Palm Beach County called Place of Hope, and it's mostly for boys' homes. And I've learned that once a male reaches the age of 13, nobody's going to adopt them, and they've got to put them somewhere, and then of course they've got to transition them. So I've mentored several people in that space, and I don't know, it's a big lift, but I've thought many times about adopting a teenage boy, and just trying to do that. But it's amazing. So I love that you are. That's definitely like a place that I've cared about for a long time. So I love that.
Well,
Uh,
and I didn't mention part of our passion around that topic is our youngest two kids are adopted. We adopted them here from our local community. And so, we see their life playing out if they were not with us. And man, how can we like make a difference in as many kids' lives as we can?
that's amazing. Are they boys?
A boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl. Yeah.
Mm.
So thank you for doing that. Yeah, that's it's one of the most giving things I think that people can do. And I got a insight into what that looked like, and I realized how
It's
you
hard.
guys don't have a lot of options. So
No.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. Okay, so on that note, if somebody is watching this or hearing this and they want to support you,
Mhm.
can they donate? Can they
Yeah,
help
that'd be
get out of
awesome.
the
So we're
area? Like, where
really,
would that money
yeah,
go? Yeah,
our push this year is monthly donors. We're really trying to increase that so that we can provide. Actually, what we're really trying to be able to do is provide an RBP for every unit at Second Creek. That's just an expense that they can't afford, and we're not going to make them pay that. But if we can provide it, it's such a great benefit, cash back on rent and, credit reporting. Like those are things that this population doesn't often know about
yeah,
or have a positive experience with. So $50 a month would support an RVP for one of the apartments there, or any amount. But our website is F as in Frank, IG, so figsolutions.org, and there's a donate button right there.
love it. All right, and so for the writers, I think anyone watching this knows what an RBP is, but for the writers, it's a resident benefit package, and that's the benefits you get by renting those homes. So just want to say that as an
Yeah,
editorial, which is great.
yeah.
It's fantastic. Love what you guys are doing. I want to talk two more things. I want to talk about, kind of vision for you're going, but I also want to talk about management. I mean, you're juggling a lot of balls. Like one of the things that I'm an advocate of is focus. And I feel like, in my 20s, I used to say, like, I started my business when I was 20 and had this all opportunity, but I also felt like I didn't take advantage of it. And so my funny analogy of my 20s was like somebody gave me an oil field and I just dug 50 wells 10 feet deep. Like none of
Yeah.
them were deep enough to like strike oil, but like I was busy. I was doing a bunch of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see the thread and the commonality, but how do you manage not only the professional stuff, the nonprofit, but then the family? Like I said, I can only vouch for two of your kids, but you seem to be doing pretty good. So what does it look like? What's the day look like? How are you managing all of this?
Well, Clay is a great partner. And I do have several children that drive, so that helps.
So
I
you
think,
recruited the child labor into the system
yeah,
at this point.
exactly. Yeah, you like your car? Okay, run this errand for me. No, so our kids are, I mentioned that we homeschooled them. They really were raised to be very independent. I think you've experienced that, with the two that you've met. And so that's helpful. They don't need a lot of coddling or, that kind of stuff. But really, I think um I don't know.
Well, let me
I
let me rephrase that question, Katie, because I think this is what everybody that is going to read this or watch this wants to know. How are you personally doing it? Because I see you at the center of this, and I'm sure you don't want to take more credit. You're immediately going to be like, "Well, Clay does this, and the kids do that." But how are you doing it? What is the tip you would give to somebody else wanting to step in to a Katie Linkous kind of situation?
Well, I mean, Clay will tell you I'm probably built different than most people, so that I can't give you. But what I have done is surround myself with people that I trust that I can delegate to. Um, I tell Clay all the time, I don't care if I'm right, I just want to win. So some people want to be right. I could care less if I'm right. I just want to win. So whatever we need to do to win is what I'll do. And if that means I have to let someone else do it, or I need to step away from something, or miss something or whatever, that's what we're going to do. So I think, we've spent a lot of time over the last year. We use the EOS system, and that has been. We just had our annual retreat this last year, and I told the team, I said, we just started using this system a year ago, like 1 year, and I feel like we've done 5 years worth of work in this 1 year because of the focus that we've had. So I really think, having something or someone in your life that can help you stay laser focused on your mission and what you're doing and not get distracted by shiny objects is important. I don't know. I mean, I feel like you only fail if you quit, and I refuse to quit. So we just keep going. And if I need 24 hours in the day, I'm going to somehow make 26, you know?
I'm a lot of overlap with everything you just said. I think that's amazing. Think that you've spotted some patterns that I've seen a lot of people be successful with, for sure.
Hmm.
All right, so let's talk about, I mean, I will just let me recap on that because I want to just like this is really what I think people watching this or reading this are going to want to care about. And that is just, okay, am I the kind of person to be able to do all these things? And can I do all these things, right?
Hmm.
So I know a lot of friends that have several businesses and do things. And like I said, my lesson from my 20s, and I invite you to challenge me on this. This is definitely a conversation here. When I talk about the oil, like somebody give me an oil field and me having 50 wells 10 feet deep, is I like to talk to clients and I like to say, what's the best way to learn five languages? I think you know the answer.
Learn one.
One at a time, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody kind of gets that.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people look at an entrepreneur 5, 10, 20 years into the game and they immediately try to replicate that. But
Yeah.
most of the people I know, we forget about them being a 10-year overnight success, right? So what are your thoughts on kind of the journey? I mean, obviously you were overachieving, you were taking on a lot. I'm not saying you were just starting with one. You were raising a family, you were working and you were investing and you were doing these things, but any kind of parting shots on um what you would do to kind of recreate where you are today.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
I think do something. I mean, I think a lot of times the reason people don't accomplish is because they don't start. And so being afraid of failure, I think, is the most paralyzing thing that anybody can encounter. So I would say, like, find your one thing, kind of to your point with the languages, like, find your one thing and start doing that and see what happens next. But I think the most dangerous thing is not doing anything. So I think that would be my biggest recommendation, I guess, is just like get started.
Keep going. Action. Love it. Yes, you mirror a lot of my friends in Gen, as I mentioned before, that just like action over thinking. Just take action, which is
Well, and I'd say like don't be afraid, and so don't be afraid to fail too, and then be smart enough to know when it's time to get out of something. We had
yeah.
a good example is we started doing short-term rental management a couple of years ago because we owned short-term rentals, and so why not, you know? And it was fine, like, but that's a totally different ball game with different systems and different people requirements and I mean, that is literally 24/7 with a lot of people who have really unrealistic expectations about things. And so, you know, we even like created a DBA, it was fixed days, and put in all the infrastructure to run that. And we were up to probably 70 doors that we were managing short term.
Wow.
And at the end of last year, I was like, you know what? This is not our thing. This is not our niche. We're good at it. We're not great at it. And I am done. I don't want to put in the time, the money, the people to be great at it. So we're going to get out of it. And we did. And so we have a few short-term rentals left that we do well. And we will take, if we have a current client, that wants to add one, we'll take it, but we're not building that business or that brand. So I think like, but that was I mean, that was some revenue lost and, you know, some things we had to consider. But if you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else by default. And so, like, just make sure you're saying yes to the right things so that you're not missing out on what you really can be doing.
Yeah. Love that. If you spend any time with me, you'll realize that my favorite definition of strategy is having unlimited options but limited resources and
Mhm.
deciding where to invest those resources,
Yeah.
which is great. I love that. And yes, the short-term thing I hear all the time. I'm gonna totally get it wrong, but somebody said like long-term property management is management, short-term is hospitality, and those two
That's
cannot be more
awful.
at odds than you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Different
That's so
people are
true.
built for different things.
Yeah. I'm not built for hospitality.
Yeah. They're totally different. Yeah, they're totally different
Yeah.
skill sets for
Yeah.
sure. Fantastic. Okay, so really appreciate all the shares. Love watching what you're doing. Let's talk about kind of what's next, you know, where you are. I think that's really important. Everybody loves to read the case study when it's all done. I get super excited with strategic PM about clocking what got people to where they are and then kind of memorializing where they think they're going to go next, right? And so we can all kind of cheer you on and watch. So just give me a quick metric of where you are. So long-term management sounds like 900 plus doors. Tell me how you would measure the nonprofit. Tell me, you know, kind of how you are on the legacy journey. And then tell me what you'll be talking about 10 years from now when we read the headlines.
Those are great questions. Well, our goal for the management company, one of our goals, we have lots of goals, but one of our goals, I think we said, man, and I actually think I'm trying to remember, we had some stuff sell. I think we're at 800 doors now. Forgive me,
Okay.
not 900.
Yeah.
So I think we set our goal. I can't remember if we said 1,000 or 1,200. This year would be where we're at the end of the year from a door count standpoint. Then we have, you know, we have revenue goals and revenue per door and all that kind of stuff. But an easy one is just our door count. I feel like we're really poised to grow our management or our maintenance and construction companies this year. So we are focusing a pretty significant amount of resources and time on that. Oh, we also have a real estate brokerage. I forgot to mention that. It's called Ten Oaks Real Estate.
Of course you do.
So
Do you
we're
also have a Amway business on the side and like an Etsy shop that I don't know
so
about?
yeah, so we're growing that. Okay, so that's it. They're just really focused on the management company is really stable and in a really good place. And we want it to grow. It's not that we're not doing that, but our focus is really on the maintenance company and construction company this year. So, you know, we have some goals of number of jobs and that kind of thing. I'm terrible with numbers. I don't remember any of them. I'd have to pull up 90 and, you know, get my scorecard out, which I won't do right now. So,
Yeah.
but I think, let's see, you said 10 years, right?
Well, before you go on the nonprofit, kind of how do you
Oh,
benchmark the nonprofit? Is it the number of
yeah.
tenants that you're helping? Like, how do you manage that? Not that you need to
So
order for everything, but it makes it easy.
yeah, this year we actually hired a full-time executive director for the first time this year. So she has some goals around fundraising, and I think we will call this year successful. We have that new property that we're getting off the ground, the 87 units, and so having that be profitable because that goes back into fund RBP and rent assistance, and so. We don't have any goals on the nonprofit side for door count growth, but we want to expand the support we're able to provide from a financial standpoint to people that we serve. So that's kind of what we're focused on there is just, having a really good cash position in the nonprofit so that we can say yes when someone needs help.
Amazing. Okay. I don't even make 10-year visions. I do like three because, that's all I can get my little head wrapped around. But you said, you guys had a meeting. You say, what would the headlines look like 10 years from
Mhm.
now? So you can give me any amount, but what's the next North Star that you guys are really focused on?
Mm. Um, Man. I also am kind of more in the like day by day. So I think I wish I could remember what our 10-year scorecard looks like. I don't know. I think we
Doesn't have to
had
be numbers. It's okay if it's concepts because I'm more of a conceptual thinker too.
Okay, well, that's helpful. So I can do that easy. That's where I live. So we want to be, in 10 years, we want to have an expansive footprint in Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, not just on the management side, but in the real estate brokerage side too. Something that's really important. I can't believe I forgot to mention this. We do a lot of work connecting our renters that are ready for home ownership with a lender that can help them with loans that are, um, sometimes more affordable loans and then get into properties. So we want to really expand all of that network, just helping people with home ownership. We use Gravy. I don't know if you know what Gravy is. So our tenants they actually earn credits as they pay rent that can be used towards their down payment. And so just kind of an all-encompassing, like if you work with us, we will help you with housing, whatever that journey looks like for you. And I think I mentioned like in 10 years, if there was a news headline about us, we would want it to say that, yeah, we're making an impact. And if we weren't here, people would know it. We would be missed.
Love the impact. That is a big word I use all the time as well. So definitely feel a kinship with you guys. Every time I've talked to Clay, I felt the same way. Blown away by Elijah and Madeline. They've been amazing. So you're doing something right for sure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm impressed without a doubt. I appreciate you sharing this. If you somebody's reading this or watching this and they're, I don't know, 2 years into their entrepreneurial journey and they're just burnt out or they're not really sure how to make this work, I mean, what would you share with them? Because you seem like you're in a really healthy and productive space. You're doing a lot. So what would you say to somebody that you and I both meet all the time and they're just like, I'm just keeping my head above water? What would you share with them?
I would say ask for help. Find somebody that is where you want to be. Like, don't take advice from a broke person about how to manage your money or a fat person about how to lose weight. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
ask people who are doing what you want to do and who are where you want to be, but then be humble enough to like actually take action on their advice. A lot of times people ask me what to do and they don't actually do anything I say, and then they want to talk to me about it again. And I'm like, we had that conversation 5 minutes ago, and I'm moving on. So I gave you my nuggets. So I think just ask for help. I think especially in our industry, it can be so like guarded and we can't talk about fees legally, but like no one talks about anything. We don't share what we're using or how we're doing it or problems we had, and I think that can be a real problem. I'm passionate about helping other people succeed, whether it's in real estate investing or in business, and so I just think we need to be more willing to help people and make it safe for someone to say, I'm drowning and I don't know if I can do this, and step in and help.
Yeah, I love that. It's one of the things I love about, I don't know if you know Entrepreneurs Organization, but I'm in that and I meet with these other entrepreneurs and it's a little sensational, but like one of our values is get naked fast. Like don't show up and sit around for
Love
two
that.
hours and
Yeah,
then tell
yeah.
people later like you can't make payroll on Friday. Like if that's your
Right.
problem, like say it right away, you know? And
Yes.
I also love just NARPM and the community. What I do love about this industry is the woman in Knoxville does not compete with the guy in Miami, and you guys can
Yeah.
come together and share everything because you have nothing to lose and only things to gain, you know? So
Mhm.
yeah, find your tribe. Everybody's got those answers, which are
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I continue to be impressed by you and Clay and everybody that I've met from the Linkous family.
Thank
Each time
you.
I meet, I always wonder who you're hiding next because everybody I meet is very impressive. So uh,
Thank you.
I think that for a lot of people watching and reading, you are living the dream. I know not everything's perfect, and I know you probably have less sleep than you want. But it does sound like
Well,
you.
I would have more sleep, except for I've gotten hung up on Madam Secretary on Netflix, and so I spend way too many hours into the wee morning watching that show.
I love it. So I rarely watch TV. I love that you said that. I rarely watch TV. Somehow three of us at Scale, without talking to each other, have all got caught up on The Night Agent. I don't know if you've seen that, but we're all
No,
watching The Night Agent. And yes, I like literally if like I'm in bed by 10 and now all of a sudden I'm in bed by
yeah,
1 and I'm like, what is happening? And then
it's so
said it,
bad.
I said it on a meeting this week and Greg and Jen were like, I'm watching it too. And you're right, we can't
Yeah,
turn it off.
yeah.
So
Especially
yeah.
like when you're like us. I mean, I give like 90, well, 110% of myself to something that's productive, right? And like I almost am guilty if I'm not doing something that's productive. So now I'm watching this show and I'm like, okay, I feel bad for watching this show, but then I also love that I'm not doing anything.
Oh yeah. It's
So,
all input and no output, which is
yeah,
I agree. I think for achievers like us, you know, that's it. Like I literally watch almost no TV, but when I get lost in
yeah,
a series that I'm engaged in, it is nice. It is a
yeah,
wonderful respite. So
yeah,
a little guilty pleasure. Managed,
yeah,
I mean, life is meant to be lived, right? Eat the chocolate cake every now and then, you know, buy the bottle of wine that was more than you thought you'd ever spend, but do it once in a while. Don't do it
right,
all the time, you know?
right.
Yeah. Well, Katie, I really appreciate it. Any parting words or anything that I didn't get to ask you about?
I don't think so. I think we covered it. It was a great interview. Thank you.
Appreciate you.